Star Trek and Star Wars are two of the most popular science fiction franchises of all time. Both have vast fan bases and have influenced popular culture in many ways. However, when it comes to comparing these two franchises, there are several reasons why Star Trek is better than Star Wars. Firstly, Star Trek has a deeper and more developed mythology than Star Wars. Star Trek has been around for over 50 years and has produced numerous television series, movies, books, and comics. Each series and movie adds to the overall mythology of the Star Trek universe, creating a vast and complex history that fans can explore and analyze. In contrast, Star Wars has a limited amount of material that explores the backstory and history of its universe. Although the Star Wars expanded universe has some depth, it was not considered canon by Disney after they acquired the franchise. Secondly, Star Trek has a more optimistic and idealistic view of the future than Star Wars. Star Trek presents a vision of a future where humanity has overcome its differences and is working towards a common goal of exploring the universe and bettering itself. The franchise emphasizes the values of cooperation, diplomacy, and scientific exploration. In contrast, Star Wars presents a more cynical and war-torn universe, where the fate of the galaxy rests on the outcome of a single war. While Star Wars is undoubtedly exciting and action-packed, it lacks the hopeful and inspiring message of Star Trek. Thirdly, Star Trek has a more diverse and inclusive cast of characters than Star Wars. From the beginning, Star Trek has been committed to promoting diversity and representation on screen. The franchise has featured numerous characters of different races, genders, and sexual orientations, and has tackled important social issues such as racism, sexism, and discrimination. In contrast, Star Wars has been criticized for its lack of diversity, particularly in its early films. Although recent Star Wars movies have made an effort to be more inclusive, it still falls short of the representation seen in Star Trek. Lastly, Star Trek has a more developed and nuanced portrayal of its villains than Star Wars. In Star Trek, the villains are often complex and multi-dimensional characters who have reasons for their actions. They are not just evil for the sake of being evil but have motivations and beliefs that justify their actions. This makes them more compelling and interesting to watch. In contrast, Star Wars villains tend to be more one-dimensional and cartoonish, with little backstory or depth to their characters. In conclusion, while both Star Trek and Star Wars are beloved science fiction franchises, Star Trek has several advantages over Star Wars. Its deeper mythology, optimistic message, commitment to diversity, and complex villains make it a more nuanced and thought-provoking series. Star Trek presents a vision of the future that is hopeful and inspiring, while Star Wars presents a more cynical and war-torn universe. Ultimately, the choice between the two is a matter of personal preference, but for those who are looking for a more developed and nuanced science fiction universe, Star Trek is the clear winner.